Welcome. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. This is a full meeting of the City Council, and we are live in the City Council chambers. We're being live streamed on the public access station and the city's website and on Zoom, and this meeting's obviously being recorded. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson Burgos?
Here.
Bartley?
Here.
Devine?
Here.
Givner?
Here.
Graney?
Here.
Jourdain?
Here.
McGrath-Smith?
Here.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Here.
Ocasio?
Here.
Israel Rivera?
Here.
Jenny Rivera?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Bacon?
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
And the city of Oil.
And the City Council.
Yay. Alrighty. So, we don't have any public hearings tonight, and we don't have anyone signed up in council chambers for public comment. Let's just double check the Zoom. Nothing on Zoom. And then we have several items laid on the table, if you remember from our last meeting.
Yeah.
So I would entertain a motion.
Okay.
If there's anything that folks want to do with item one, or
I'll make a motion to take item 1 off the table.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to take item 1 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I'll make a motion to vote to override the veto.
Okay. So the motion's been made and seconded to override the veto. Just so I can read it into the record, item number 1 is from Mayor Joshua Garcia, the veto of the 2/3 majority vote ordinance, which was tabled from the last meeting. Is there any discussion? Councilor Bacon.
And just briefly, we've had these discussions, so I won't go on and on. But I would just remind my colleagues that we spent a long time coming to compromise. I don't think there's anybody in the room for who this was a perfect answer, and yet we came to a compromise with an 11-2 vote. And our mayor chose to veto it, but this is really a matter for this body to be determining, and I just hope that we will stick by our votes and keep it, the compromise that we all came to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Devine, and then Councilor Graney, and then Councilor Anderson Burgos, and Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to make sure that this is 2/3 vote of the members present, correct? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I
And that
had
includes on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
but we're all here. It's so
Yes.
nice to see all of you. Councilor Graney.
Yeah, I believe that it's always beneficial to the city and the voters to separate the executive branch from the legislative branch. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson Burgos.
So originally when this came out, I voted yes. This time I'm voting no like I voted last time. But originally, after giving it much thought and consideration, I had changed my vote to no. And then this was last time, and I said no, and it was tabled. I'm still planning on voting no. I'm sticking to that no. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, I'll just read right from the mayor's letter. In addition, a majority requirement would expedite legislation. Just want to remind everybody here, our job is not to expedite legislation. It's make sure we have good legislation. Right. And when you have 11 people agree on something and it gets vetoed by someone, I don't think that's good government or following the intent of what our job really is here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jourdain.
And I'm only going to just repeat one point of the points that were made earlier. It rings rather hollow when the rule, if we were to go along with what the mayor wanted, says that when I'm in favor, it's a majority vote, but when I'm opposed, it's a 2/3 vote. The council saw through that many years ago, and that's why we had this rule. The only issue that became the subject of the last year's discussion, of the whole body or of just those present, and it became just of those present, as Councilor Devine correctly pointed out. So that was what we were getting into. So I hope, please, that people would consider that and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, with that, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to veto, to override the mayor's veto. Thank you.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
No.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
No.
Murphy Rumboletti,
No.
Ocasio.
Yes.
10 yeas, 3 nays.
Okay, with that, you have overridden
Overridden.
the mayor's veto. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, counselors.
Up next, item 2.
Can we take a motion to take up item 2 and 3 together?
Motion has been made and seconded to suspend the rules and take up items 2 and 3 together. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I will read them briefly. Item 2 is from Councilor McGrath Smith, ordered that the Director of Economic Development and Planning come into Finance Subcommittee to discuss the use of cannabis impact fee funds. And item 3 is a transfer request for $108,695.56 from cannabis stabilization to the Solicitor's Office Claims and Damages. This has been read twice already, and it was tabled. So, Councilor Devine?
I think it's self-explanatory, and we should take a vote on it again tonight, and either move it forward or table it again.
Okay. And Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. I would just note that this is a matter that's been discussed in executive session, and I will not be voting on it until we can discuss it in public for the public to be aware of what we're spending it for. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. If not, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to approve the transfer and item 2. Councilor Anderson Burgos?
I want to state for the record that these are the kind of votes, I think, when it comes to the 2/3 majority, these are the kind of votes that we're looking at, these kind of holdups. These kind of holdups. You're holding up departments, you're holding up financial transactions, you're creating a bigger problem. And that's what I'm hoping that the city, when they're voting and they're looking at this is a big part of the problems the city has.
Thank you. All right. On the motion, the clerk will call the roll.
Israel Rivera,
No.
Jenny Rivera,
No.
Sullivan,
No.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey,
No.
Jordan,
No.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio.
No.
6 yeas, 7 nays.
Okay. So with that, it did not pass.
Make a motion to lay it on the table?
Motion's been made to lay it on the table.
Second.
You mean reconsider?
Oh,
and lay it on the
reconsider,
table,
I'm
right?
sorry, yeah.
Otherwise-
Reconsider and lay on the table.
Yeah.
And has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 2 for 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yeah. Mhm.
Great. Thank you. All right. Item number 4.
Motion to take item 4 off the table.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to take item 4 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 4 is the Committee on Ordinance, to whom referred in order that Section 8.1.9 be amended to include the following language after the last sentence: requirement to submit new technical data. This is about the special flood hazard areas. The town will, within 6 months, notify FEMA of these changes by submitting the technical or scientific data that supports the changes. It was recommended that the order be adopted, and it did already have its first and second reading at the last meeting. So with that, Councilor Israel Rivera, is there anything you wanted to add?
I have nothing to add. Just for clarification, that means I don't have to do first reading, second reading. I just have to do.
We did, yeah.
Be
So we
ordained.
did that at the last meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Councilor Bacon, did you? I didn't know if you had your hand up.
I
sorry.
just think he would have to say a motion that the passage be ordained.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any other discussion before? Okay.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Second.
All right. Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramaletti,
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
Okay. With that, you've passed it. Thanks, everyone. Item number 5. The Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that the zoning ordinance, section 7.8, wireless telecommunication facilities and antennas, be amended to include small wireless facilities. And if my recollection is correct, we did not do the first and second reading at the last meeting. Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Yes.
So motion, yeah.
Well, I think, yes, Councilor Bacon, you made the motion to take it off.
I'll
the table.
second it then.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? So moved. Councilor Rivera?
You said we didn't do first and second.
Correct.
Okay, so then for this one, just a quick breakdown. This one is on just getting up to date with our ordinance or creating some form of an ordinance around wireless telecommunication facilities. This order, I believe, was filed by Councilor McGee or former Councilor McGee. We've had it in session for a while now because myself and other councilors had some concerns around health concerns around some of the issues that have been brought up, different presentations. It took us a while to come to a conclusion as to how we wanted to proceed with this because according to the FCC, I believe, we technically have only a limited range of, power to put ordinance over this or just to flex any muscles in a sense. So for us, I think the best step we could do is to have them create or sign up or where we have a list of where they're located and where they would have to let residents know when new ones go up within that range. So at least the residents are aware that this is there. But any other councilors that are on the committee or that want to chime in with this particular order, because this was a lot of conversation on it, feel free to do so.
Thank you, Councilor. I have Councilor McGrath Smith and then Councilor Bacon.
I will say that this had been tabled a number of times, and a lot of it centered around just understanding if there were health concerns or not, just to air it for the public record. And there are no data points in the United States for us to be able to lean into on that, but there are some in Europe where they had looked at potential risk of increased cancer or brain tumors tied to living within a certain range of these small wireless facilities. If you don't know what they look like, I highly suggest that you just Google the image of a small wireless facility so you can now recognize them for yourself, because as you're driving through the city, you will recognize that they're starting to pop up everywhere. And we currently don't have a way of knowing where they are or even telling people that they're living near them. So at the current status of this, the federal government is trying to move these small wireless facilities forward because they create these like really fast ways of increasing access to the network for people, which is a good thing, right? But the other health side of it, they've said that they don't give us any capacity to prevent these from going up on the basis of there being potential health concerns. So as a result, here we are. They're going to go up anyway. And so I think a lot of us on the Committee of Ordinance felt like, not that we're approving that we really like that they're going up and they might have potential health concerns, but that they're going up anyway, and we can't prevent them on the basis of potential health concerns anyway. So we might as well be able to know they're going up, put them through a permitting process, have a list of where they are, be able to notice abutters if we want to. It gives us the ability to do other things or even have information if of other health concerns come up in the future.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Bacon.
Thank you. Just so the public is aware, we were able to put some language in there where applicants need to show that there is a need for these. So they're not just going to go up wherever on every pole that you might see. And we also strengthen the language with insurance from the applicants and liability for the applicants relative to questions that might require the expertise of a consultant, so that the city and the residents wouldn't be bearing those costs either. So we were able to strengthen the language, and we sent it back to planning, and that took a little time because then they had to look at the amendments. And so I feel like we've made it as strong as we can, and it'll be a work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, comments? Okay. So Counselor Rivera, that was your motion to pass.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
Motion to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then motion that the passage be ordained.
Second.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to approve the order.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
No.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
11 yeas, 2 nays.
With that, you've passed it. Thanks, everyone. Okay, item number 6 is the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that the position of Chief Administrative and Financial Officer be created and added to Schedule A. Recommended that the order be adopted. And we did not do a first and second reading the last time. So first, I'll entertain a motion to take this off the table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then Counselor Rivera?
Thank you. So this one, I don't know if you read it. You read it, right? You read the order?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one we've had for a while, and also in ordinance for about a couple months now in ordinance, and we brought it forward the last meeting, pushed it back just to get more language and more clarification as to things for certain counselors before we take a vote on it. We're trying to do a couple things at the same time, and this is one of the steps that we are taking in that direction to try to move things in a way where we are having a more smoother flow with regards to finances, and I guess we're here just hoping that we can get the support of most of the council, and if we don't have the full support, then we go back to the drawing table and try to figure out how we can get to this point. I think it's imperative for us to try to move things forward instead of just like coddling them in the same circle that they stay in within the committees that we have. So with that being said, full motion to pass the first reading.
Well,
Or
yes.
discussion.
So that was your motion to pass the first reading. I'm going to open it up
Go ahead.
for discussion first, though, unless,
So I just have a point of information.
sure.
I think we just took this up in our last ordinance committee. So I think technically, because it's still in committee and we sent it to legal, I think we have to send this to the committee. Because it's tabled here, but we took it up in the ordinance
Councilor
committee.
Vagan is correct too, and I was a little confused by it too because we didn't have legal language that day, last
Right.
Wednesday.
Right. That's why it got tabled, because we didn't have 48 hours for folks to see the legal language.
Oh,
It had already
we didn't do
been
this
sent.
at ordinance.
We already had the
we didn't.
discussion, and then
You're right.
Yeah.
we,
Talked about it again.
I thought we did, but no, we didn't.
am I, Jeffrey?
You almost had me on that one.
We don't have the minutes yet, so.
No,
Yeah,
we
this
didn't
was
do
on
that.
the last council agenda,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we tabled
You're
it
right.
because we didn't have the legal language within 48 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully everyone's had a chance to read it.
Okay.
But
No, I
Counselor-
just confused it with that. We didn't have legal languages that last
Right.
meeting. That's why I got confused.
Yes, for sure. Counselor Jordan?
Yes, so, Madam President, I just want to express at this point my ongoing reservations about us adopting pieces of the new financial management team when we don't have all the pieces on the table. I appreciate that a lot of good work, and this could serve as the foundation to the solution ultimately, but we don't have all the pieces on the puzzle of the puzzle as to where it's going. Who's reporting to who? For example, like this even says in one of the provisions, let me read it here, it says, works with and provides guidance as needed to the city treasurer. So this is going to be in addition to the treasurer. This is going to be, we're talking about the role of the auditor, who's reporting to who, a lot of these pieces of the puzzle that still need to be solved at this point in terms of the overall plan. I believe later this evening we're going to be voting on the future of the treasurer position to put that on the January ballot. And I'd like to see where that ends up with the public voting in January. And I'm not sure just yet on this $160,000 price tag that's put to this position. That's a lot of money. And then I'd like to also understand where's the role of the mayor in the future with a CAFO? Because like a lot of this work today, we're paying our full-time mayor to do. So if we're taking all of these duties that he's currently doing and giving it to this position, how does that all fit in there? Like, what is he picking up something else? Or, so I just kind of would like to see the whole, like all the pieces to the puzzle on the table and we figure this out as one cohesive thing. I get this is where we're at today with this particular piece, but that's kind of my reservation is all the pieces and what does the public do on January 28th with the treasurer. So we'll see how that all goes. But I'm not forever no. I'm probably going to vote no momentarily because this is going to a vote. It looks like tonight, but I'm not open. I am open to the concept of doing this. So I did want to just share that. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify, at the last ordinance committee meeting, there was an org chart presented that did answer the who reports to who. So that was discussed at length. I saw Councilor McGrath Smith and Councilor Rivera. Councilor McGrath Smith.
I want to respond to the concern that I've heard around, this is a piece. How do we vote on a piece knowing that we don't have the full picture yet? Because I think that this body and the city as a whole has tried to do both over time. And if you go back to the lesson learned by something like the Charter Commission, where the goal was that we would do all of it, and it failed. Sometimes, and then it becomes the impediment of any progress at all. We're slowly doing those things now, piece by piece. In almost every case, the exact same way the Charter Commission laid them out, with some small changes. So I think that we have to be comfortable with that we're never going to know everything. And it's an illusion to think that we do. Even if we had some, whole master plan in front of us, exactly what that means when the rubber hits the road is not always clear. I think it's okay for us to take this piece by piece. We're not going to know how the people are going to vote until after the election and the special election. And then we're going to have to go from there. I know that I've heard questions around, well, how do we then combine treasurer with the tax collector? Is that what that looks like? Will there be a deputy and also only one role or both roles plus a shared deputy, right? I think there are a lot of questions with that. Doesn't mean that we won't be able to weigh in on those decisions then when they also come in front of us. But they're not in front of us now. And I think waiting for all of the pieces to somehow form the Jenga tower is unrealistic. It's more realistic to take things just a step at a time with what's in front of us.
Thank you, Councilor. I have Councilor Rivera, then Councilor Bacon, and then Councilor Greeny.
Thank you. I think so. Yeah, I was going to speak to the org chart. Although, like Councilor Jordan, I still have some reservations as to how it's all going to come together, right? Because I like to see it all structurally put together. But they did come in the last meeting, and they presented an org chart. Obviously, it might not be the finalized version, but it's a version that they're trying to go with and then move in that direction. You know, it's difficult, I would say, if I were the mayor, to be able to manage all the finances and manage the people and manage all the departments that are separate from the finances. And it's understandable that is the role and the responsibility of the mayor, right? That's totally understandable. You run for it, that's what you're supposed to take on. But is it the most effective or efficient way to run government? Like, does that make sense? That's the only question for me. Like, yes, it would alleviate a lot of stress on his end, and yes, it would have questions for us as to what are the things that he's doing on the other side then. But for us, I think it would be not to say that we shouldn't do this because of that. I think it would be that if you have this alleviated, then what are the other responsibilities that you're going to take on that are going to move us in another direction, that are going to help us be more an effective and efficient community? So that alleviation kind of allows you to then become more creative and move and pivot in different directions that you couldn't do because you're bogged down in all the day-to-day work. So, like, I understand the concern. I'm with it. I'm also with the concern around, like, what are the people going to vote on when it comes to January? They might not agree with it. That is a concern. But I think for me, to get to Councilor McGrath-Smith's point, is we have to kind of move along little by little. I can't stand incremental change, but I'm told that it works towards the bigger picture. But at the end of the day, I'm learning and getting to that point that one little peg at a time will get you to the larger goal, right? For me, this is one step. The 160, that is a sticking point too. But I don't think we're voting on the 160 right now. Right now is just a name and a title. The 160 doesn't have to be 160 down the road, even though I have to argue that the range is up there, but it's in here. Mm-hmm. Oh, so then, yeah, maybe something we could talk about later on. But right now, for me, I think the most important piece is making sure that we're moving in the direction towards it. Because if they do vote yes and they do want to change, then we're already 2 steps ahead. But I hear the concern too as well.
Thank you, Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. I'm going to steal a brief page out of Councilor McGivern's history book. So I would just like to remind my colleagues that at the time this was filed, we already had voted in early June to vote on the treasurer position so that we would be dealing with that in November and then able to deal with this. It was always envisioned that we would be addressing that, but due to a number of reasons, it's only coming before us tonight to move that forward. So this is adding a very significant amount of tax money to the mayor's office, should this be passed. This whole concept has been sold to us out of the argument for efficiency and effectiveness. But so far, all it's doing is adding to the bureaucracy with no plan for efficiency or something that would assure us of effectiveness. So for me, I want to wait and see what the people say relative to the treasurer's office, because it's for me been even just to discuss changing the structure, we have to see if the citizens will support us in that endeavor first. And everybody knows I'm not a big fan of increasing the bureaucracy, and I'm not seeing where the balance is yet. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councilor Greeny, then Councilor Devine, then Councilor Givner.
Yeah, I agree with what Councilor Bacon has said. Councilor Jordan, to a certain extent. I'm unequivocally opposed to adding another financial officer to the structure of the city government. I think that's the mayor's responsibility. The mayor knew that when he ran for this position. We as city councilors know what our obligation is financially and what our obligation is to the taxpayers in this city. And I don't believe that the taxpayers should take on an additional $160,000 burden to pay a chief financial officer when our population is 39,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I have Councilor Devine, then Councilor Givner.
Yeah, 2 things. Councilor Rivera, what was the vote in ordinance when you brought this up?
I believe it's 3-1.
I couldn't hear you.
It's either 3-1 or 3-2, but
Okay.
Jeff can
All right, and
verify.
I'm going to vote in favor. I think we have to start somewhere, and I have to assume that 160,000 is probably negotiable, but I will be voting in favor of this.
Okay, Councilor Givner.
Thank you, Madam President. I think that the position of a CAFO is a really good idea. The mayor is elected, we're elected. Treasurer is either appointed or elected. None of them necessarily are professionals at what they do. We come in and learn on the job. The mayor, in this case, has some experience, which is, I think he brings a lot to the table with that. But we've seen mayors in every city who have no idea what they're doing because they're elected positions. Like, it's a popularity contest. If you win the votes, you win the position. It doesn't mean you know what you're doing. The treasurer, if it's appointed by a mayor who may or may not know what they're doing, could be the same vote. If the treasurer is elected, again, they may be elected because they're popular. They may be elected because people actually know they know what they're doing. It's a 50-50 chance. Either way, our finances as a city suffer, as they have for a very long time, by having a professional position in charge of the finances of our city. We create accountability and we have oversight to something we have not had control over pretty much ever. So by hiring a professional who's has the education and the background, you have some consistency. When the administrations change, at least our finances stay in order. Just like we're not gonna elect a city engineer, we're going to hire a professional city engineer, hopefully. Hopefully we'll hire a city engineer. But, along the same lines, there are some positions that are too important to be, in my opinion, just given to somebody and think they want to do well, but don't necessarily have the experience or the know-how to do it. So I think this is money well spent. I think we will save a lot more than $160,000 a year by putting this person in a position or adding this position. And I think overall, we need a little more foresight in this city. And the now is a real problem for us. We need to think to the future. We're not always all going to be here. We're not going to have the same mayor. There's going to be different ideas, but at least if this one thing who's in charge of our finances is a professional who doesn't really care which way the wind is blowing, I think we could actually keep our finances balanced and in better shape. So I will definitely vote for this. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? I would actually appreciate the opportunity to just say something. Do you guys want me to?
Make a motion to suspend the rules to allow the president to speak
Second.
on this issue.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Any opposed? Okay, sorry. The only thing I wanted to say is I'm a little disappointed hearing some of the feedback, because months ago when we were discussing the treasurer position in charter and rules, there were a couple of orders that were discussed, and one of them was to have the treasurer appointed by the council or have the treasurer appointed by the mayor. In the spirit of compromise, I sort of seceded to that notion that the city council would support be the appointing authority of the treasurer. And so in the spirit of compromise, I did that because I thought that we had all sort of agreed that a CAFO was needed and we didn't really want to slow this down. So everyone can vote however they want tonight. Obviously, that's why we're here, but I'm just disappointed because I really thought that we were going to try and compromise, and when you compromise, you don't always get what you want, and I would have preferred having the treasurer position actually appointed by the mayor, but I was willing to give that up in order to do what's best for the city. So thank you. Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, Madam President, you make an excellent point. The thing that is concerning for some of us who were on the other side of that compromise, who did also compromise, was that I don't have a treasurer appointed by the council yet, right? The legislature hasn't adopted it. In fact, this council tonight is going to be voting just to put it on the ballot again, right? and we don't know how the vote's going to turn out. So you have all this uncertainty on this half of the transaction that nobody knows none of us in this room can predict what's going to happen on January 28th. The legislature, I'm assuming, will do what we ask them to do, hopefully. Then they're going to put it on the ballot. The public will vote on the 28th. If they vote no, all the cards are back up in the air, and this will have been adopted. That's kind of the point, is that once that passes, that we know is done, then I think this is the appropriate time to revisit this. And meanwhile, why can't we, now that we know where that's going, also bring in the treasurer-collector issue and solve that? Because I've heard damn near unanimous support in favor of merging those two positions in the past, like many cities have. So it's like we're just a few months ahead, and we need the public and the legislature to weigh in on the future of the treasurer before we can go along with this. It doesn't mean this won't happen. It just means it won't, in my opinion, shouldn't happen tonight, because that's a big risk. Because we don't know how the rest of this is going to play out. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Counselor. I saw Counselor Bacon, and then Counselor Givner, and then Counselor Graney.
Thank you. I'll be brief, but I would just note, and this is something that just occurred to me as we were talking about this now, that if we are able to do the consolidation, who appoints who would actually become a moot point if we combine, as an example, treasurer collector, because then there would only be one appointment. So some of these issues may go away if we're able to achieve what we are trying to do and the citizens support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Givner, and then Counselor Graney.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to reiterate that it doesn't really matter if we hire a professional, chief officer of finances. It won't. The rest is important. It's going to still be important who's the treasurer, but whether that department merges with another or not, there's still going to be somebody taking full responsibility for the finances of our city, and basically the treasurer and the auditor would be like answering to them. So I think this is actually a more important position, and it may take us longer to fill the position. So the sooner we pass it, the sooner we can actually get on searching for a viable quality candidate. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Graney.
Yeah, Madam President, I'm not sure what all of us was. I kind of respectfully disagree with that. I've never, ever been in favor of this CAFO. Never will. We have a municipal government where the mayor is the chief financial officer, and I think that's certainly appropriate for a city of 39,000 people. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Anderson Burgos.
It seems like the holdup is we're going to put this to the voters on a special election. It's going to cost us $30,000. Now, I know as a body, there are a few of us who are always talking about we're wasting money, we're wasting money, we're wasting money. I would like to state for the record that I've never received a call or a concern about our constituents saying, don't take this right away from me. And I'm not saying it's not a right or it's a right. They've elected us to make big decisions that's going to make the city easier to manage, easier to work with. And I truly believe that it's in our power to actually not put this to the voters, and that we make this decision that it's an elected position by the city council. We have the power to do that. We can actually do that. Every single one of us, if we got together and said, yes, let's do that. Let's not put it to the people and just get this done and over with. This is what I'm talking about, the holdup. There's so much holdup. There's so much conversation going back and forth. We can do something simple as we'll elect a treasurer. That would simplify everything and it would save us $30,000 because we're always talking about spending money. Well, that's spending a lot of money. I think $30,000 is a lot of money. And not to mention, it is a lot of money, especially when you're sending it out to voters and they're like, I don't know, do I want to vote yes or no on this? Because they don't know, right? They're not in this space here 24/7 like we are. We know they elected us. So I really truly believe that we should just not send it out to the voters and vote on it ourselves. We should elect that position. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Everyone's spoken, well, not everyone, but a lot of people have spoken twice, so I'm gonna,
On the motion?
okay. So your motion was to pass the first reading?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Well, I don't think we voted on the first.
Oh, hey, let's get it.
Motion, so that was the motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Okay, motion to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
And the motion that the passage be ordained, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to adopt the order to create a chief administrative and financial officer.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
No?
Jordan,
No.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
No.
8 yeas, 5 nays.
Okay, with that, it does not pass.
Motion
Mo-
table?
Motion to reconsider.
Yeah, motion
I'll
to I
table.
was going to say that.
Motion to reconsider action for purpose of tabling?
Motion has been made and seconded to reconsider our actions and table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did we want to go back to ordinance or leave it here? What would you prefer, Izzy?
Send it back to ordinance.
Motion to send it back to ordinance.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to send back to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay. Item 7.
Motion to take item 7 off the table?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to take item 7 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So item 7 is the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that there be transfer in the amount of $250,000 as follows: capital stabilization, 200,000; sewer stabilization, 50,000 to sewer professional and legal services. Recommended that the order be adopted, and we already did do the first and second reading for this.
Well, we couldn't have done the second because we wouldn't be here anymore.
Oh, well, good point. Just the first reading, I got ahead of myself.
Motion
So-
to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
To transfer, we need a roll call,
Just
right?
kidding. Just, that was.
You're just
that was-
testing us. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Just making sure you're all still awake.
Just making sure we're paying attention.
Yeah. Counselor Devine, before I do that, is there anything you want to
I
add?
just want to remind people that this was taken up in Finance Committee, and we had a couple members of the ad hoc committee in. Counselor Sullivan is on that committee. When it was in Finance, it was voted 5-0 in favor, and then for some reason, after it got out of Finance, that vote changed. So I'm hoping that tonight we can pass this, and I'll have Counselor Sullivan speak to it. It's really important that we get an RFP out to look at a different contract, or the same viola, depending on what the RFP does.
Thank you, Counselor Devine. Counselor Sullivan?
Yes, thank you. I would just like to let everybody know, the ad hoc committee has been working for 18 months on this now. This is a potentially as much somewhere between $150 and $200 million contract. It's a 20-year contract, and it's one that will impact all 39,000 residents of this city. The last time that this was done, over 20 years ago, cost the city over $1 million. Now you think about $1 million in today's dollars, that's probably $2 or $3 million. Right? The intent of this ad hoc committee is just to have the resources available. It's not to spend $250,000, to have the resources available, $50,000 for legal assistance in putting this RFP out, and $200,000 available for engineering help to contemplate things that didn't exist 20 years ago. Anybody that hasn't read about what PFAS is, what's coming in our water systems, Anybody that doesn't know what's going on with climate change, right? These are all things that need to be addressed in this long-term plan for the city. So I hope we can get this done tonight. This committee has worked very hard for a long time now to get this to the stage where we can get an RFP out. And we have a time constraint on this, and we'd like to have it out, the RFP out, right after, I believe in December, and a decision, the whole process underway here, so we can get this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I have Councilor Jordan and then Councilor Graney.
Yeah, Madam President, I just wanted to, thank Councilor Sullivan for all his hard work on this issue and keeping us constantly up to speed on this. We also appreciate the good work of the committee. They've really assembled some very strong people. I've had an opportunity to review the RFP paperwork, and I did want to say that I will definitely be voting for this tonight. I think this is the best approach of the numerous approaches that they could take, and I do look forward to voting for this momentarily. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Graney.
On the motion.
Awesome.
Second.
All right, so the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting in favor of the transfer request.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Casio,
Yes.
unanimous vote.
Great. With that, you have passed.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8. Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that there be a transfer of $5,000 from forestry, tree climber, to engineering and professional services. Recommend that the order be adopted. Councilor Devine?
Yeah, motion to pass the
Sorry,
first
motion to actually take it off the table.
reading. So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Councilor Devine?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. We still haven't got an engineer. So this would be to continue to pay the acting engineer that we have right now. And it is what it is, and I think we need to pass this tonight and go from there. And hopefully one of these days we will have an absolute engineer, not although this person is doing a great job. I think we just need to continue that payment for now.
Okay, thank you. You said that was, we've already done the first reading, right? Yeah, we did the first reading at the last meeting.
Well, just Madam President, when we're reconsidering, if we don't specify, it's going back to it's reconsidered all of our votes.
Okay,
So if people want to just say reconsider second reading, they
Okay.
need to be specific. So I would just give that as a friendly suggestion. Otherwise, if it's just we reconsider, it's back to square one.
okay, all right.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Could I ask one question on this item, if I may?
Yeah, I actually have Councilor Bacon
Oh, I
and then
apologize. I
Councilor
can wait.
Graney, and I will add you to the list.
Thank you.
Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. I usually try to make it to Finance Committee,
Give
but
no,
I think I missed this one. And I'm just wondering, through the chair, if there was insight as to why they're taking it out of forestry when we have so many overgrown trees and signs that we can't see and traffic lights that we can't see. It seems like there could have been some other pot of money this could have come out. I mean, I want to pay the engineer. I know we absolutely need her, and I do agree she's doing a fine job. But you literally cannot see the new traffic light when you are driving from Westfield side of Holyoke toward Holyoke until you're at the light. I mean, it's not good. So I was just wondering, was there any insight provided relative to why that?
Do you want to respond, Councilor
This
Devine?
is just a guess. I don't think we have a tree climber yet, so that's
Okay.
probably why they took the money out of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Givner. You're all set? I mistakenly said your name, Councilor Graney, but I saw a hand
I'm all
open
set.
that direction. Okay. No
Motion.
other discussion?
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I'm just going to briefly explain my no vote on this. I I don't agree with using this cost center, and I don't agree any longer with this long, drawn-out, unbelievably frustrating process. At some point, we have to put our foot down. So I, for one, will no longer vote for any transfers. I'm really disappointed about this. Yes, the finance chair is correct. We don't have a tree climber. We have one for, Mike said, for maybe a week, and the person quit. So there's a reason why these things are happening. And if I just keep voting yes for these transfers, it's gonna self-perpetuate. So I'm not voting for this. A, I wasn't gonna vote for it anyhow because of the tree climber position. I'm sick of taking money out of forestry. But B, I'm not gonna vote for the transfer anymore because the city government, we'll leave it there, has gotta get its act together to get nominees and fill this position. And why do I wanna just give them the money to keep this going year after year now? I mean, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. We talk, whether a CAFO would have done this we elected the mayor to do this. I'm sorry to say, I'm not being mean here, Madam President. The mayor ran to be the leader. Whether we have a CAFO or not, the mayor's the leader, supposed to get this thing on the road. Hasn't happened. Buck has to stop somewhere. But there's no ownership. Nobody wants to take ownership. The only communication I get from the Board of Public Works is, just miscellaneous stuff that has to do with nothing. I don't get any communication on this. What are the updates? I don't get anything from them other than whatever, miscellaneous stuff. It has nothing to do with this. So I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Councilor Givner?
Thank you, Madam President. I think this is just another example of us not approving funds when we needed to, and therefore losing people. We had an engineer. We didn't want to pay them more, and we had a hard time approving the funds to hire someone who was in the pipeline. That's not an excuse for the tree climber. I know some of these trades are also dying trades, so I think there's a problem finding some of these positions in general. But I think we should realize that the engineer, whether they're permanent, temporary, part-time, we need them all the time. And I have noticed that an email to DPW gets a lot done, a phone call. I don't know if they can get somebody to climb a tree randomly, but I think we really, really, really have to think long and hard about the financial decisions we make when we're making them, and hire people when we have the chance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Anderson Burgos.
I'll be brief. So Councilor Givner makes a very valid point, but I want us all to think about the extreme high turnover throughout the city and in every department. And I've been here, this is my 4th term, and I see something repetitive. And that repetitive, I'm not gonna be specific, but it's decisions that are made here. And I've talked to enough people that have left, and them leaving has to do with the decisions we made in here, how hard we make it for departments, and so on and so forth. And if we keep doing this, it's just gonna cost the city a lot more money and keep costing. And we're gonna keep complaining and keep having these conversations. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
So I had Councilor, hold on, sorry. I had Councilor Devine and then Councilor Graney.
I just wanted to
I
mention,
had my hand up.
thank you, Madam
sorry.
President.
That's fine.
Do we forget you?
No, that's fine. I can go on the road.
If you go to the DPW website and you look under the staff positions, you'll see John Tuig. If you email John your specific needs, he may be able to answer you faster than filing an order. Not that there's anything wrong with filing an order, but that's what I do, is just contact him directly. So.
Thank you. Councilor Graney, then Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, the position of tree climber, I would imagine it's a very limited occupation these days because most of the trees that are being cut or trimmed are done so by a bucket on a truck that lifts to cut her up to it and so forth. So I don't know if when the last time we've needed a tree climber to climb up a tree and trim the top off a tree. But it seems to me like it's a pretty archaic position at this point. So I have no problem with this transfer.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jordan and then Councillor Sullivan.
What I wanted to mention, then I'll add on in light of some other comments, was point number one, relative, my only concern, I will be voting for this, but because we do need the professional engineering services and it needs to be done, and I generally defer to the department head what buckets they take it out of. The only thing I will say, though, is as a general rule of thumb, when we put the money in for the forestry position, we use those funds to then pay for the contracted services when we can't fill the position. So for those of us that are concerned we're not getting our fair share of forestry service in the city, we allocated these monies for tree removal and trimming. And I mean, I don't know about you all, but I get lots of constituent requests about tree issues. And is this money going to get replaced somewhere else? What pot are they going to take the private service that we use, whether it's Northern or one of the other ones? Because generally speaking, we use the unfilled position money. So that does concern me. I'll support this, but mindful, that doesn't mean I'm for 5,000 less in forestry work, because that's what I voted for in the budget. And I'm sure probably most councilors agree with that. The thing I want to say about engineering and salaries generally, I wish people had longer perspective here. This council is by far the most giving as far as pay raises, vacation, sick leave, personal leave, Lord knows, fill in the blank, right down the list. We're giving out 7% pay raises. We're giving out a ton of different money for various people. Reevaluations. I've never seen the type of pay increases that are coming through this council. So don't worry, you're giving out plenty of money. Don't feel like you're cheap by any means. And this council is giving out lots and lots and lots of money. And by the way, you have a tax levy to prove it. We're at record high tax levy at pushing $67 million. That is to say, we are getting to the point of we're almost triple taxing the residents of this city than what we were 25 years ago. Triple. So that means in 150 years of Holyoke, we went from zero, from 1850, in 1999 we were at a $28 million tax levy. From 1999, 28 million, to now, we went from 28 to 67. Not too bad. So where's all that money going? It's coming here. And by the way, there's fewer and fewer people pulling the wagon, because there's fewer and fewer residents that live here, and clearly we have fewer businesses too. So we've got some real tough challenges. Of course, I believe the state is not paying their fair share. That's really the X factor that's going on. So we need the legislature to pony up like they do for all the other communities, which they're currently not doing for Holyoke. But relative to the engineer position specifically, can somebody for the next meeting file a communication of when this council voted down a pay raise for the city engineer? Because I can't recall that vote. Was that?
Are you asking me to?
No. I'm just asking esoteric.
Like rhetorically.
I speak to you because I'm required.
Right, of course, right. Just making sure.
Yeah, not you personally, but you, metaphorically, Madam President.
Metaphoric, Madam Megan.
When did that vote occur? Because it's being left out here in cyberspace that this council turned down a pay raise to the city engineer, and now that's why we don't have a city engineer, because we're all cheap in here. I'd like to know when that happened. Just refresh my memory and maybe file that for the next meeting, and I'll stand corrected if that occurred and we voted that down. I'm not remembering that. But as far as I know, we're increasing the DPW superintendent's salary to the highest it's ever been, and you can fill it right down. I believe he's also an engineer, as I recall.
Yes, he
but anyways, bring in a proposal that says, I've got this candidate and it's this salary or nothing. I don't even think they have candidates. And there's a range. And by the way, this council has blown the doors off a lot of these ranges. So this is why the levy's $67 million.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I have Councillor Sullivan, then Councillor McGrath-Smith, and then Councillor Bacon.
I'll pass, I'm all set.
Okay, dokie. Councillor McGrath-Smith.
I know we've gone wide, but I just want to go back to the issue of tree cutting. So the urban forestry grant that we all approved funding for, and it's $1 million over a 5-year period. The goal of that, if you looked at the prospectus, which I pulled up on my computer, they call the period of 2024 and 2025 as, quote, the catch-up, right? Any tree right now being taken down is about 8 years old in terms of when it was put on the list. Unless somebody is calling with an emergency situation, if a tree is being taken down in a routine way, it's been on the list for 8 years. That's how deep the list is, right? That's how much catch up we're playing. So it does, I know it seems like, we're blowing the doors off of things, or we're raising, these, pay raises, in very generous ways, or maybe that to some seem over generous, but so much of what we're doing is the catch up. It's bringing things back up to where we can compete regionally with towns who are happily hiring the folks that we train. I remember I was at a regional conference where someone, to my face, not knowing we were Holyoke, referred to Holyoke as the training ground, because we take people in at these kind of what's considered a kind of starter salary ranges, can't hold on to them that long, and then we pass them along where they're going to get a pay raise or work in a situation where there's additional staffing, so the job feels more doable. I do believe that people will work really hard for less money in the public sector. I'm a teacher, right? I think any teacher could say that to you, as long as they feel like they're doing good work. But also, we have a lot of regional tree companies. So partly why we're having a hard time with the tree climber position, we may need to go back in and look at the salary ranges for the tree cutter position, because right now we have 2 openings that we approved in our latest budget. One was filled for only about 6 weeks before they quit. The other was never filled. That money then sits there. I would much rather us find a way to pay a position lucratively enough to keep someone in it to do the routine work that needs to happen, and have 1 than have 2 that never get filled. When we have a lot of tree companies regionally who are paying their people very well. And so I'm not surprised that we're having a hard time keeping somebody or looking attractive. And I think we do have an obligation to appear attractive to potential employees who want to work here, because we have work that needs to be done. We cannot do that with empty line items. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bacon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Relative to the pay issue for the engineer, the last update we received was that there was a union issue relative to the classification of the position that the law department was working on, and that was now months ago, because I had made a proposal to suspend the range to be able to move it, and that's what they wanted to do. But then we were informed there was this other issue. So that's where that lies. Relative to the forestry work that needs to be done, yes, I have an order on the agenda tonight. I have been communicating with DPW for 2 months and have been assured for 2 months that it will be done. As I'm driving up the hill, seeing tire marks from where the tree branches block the light to where you need to stop for the light. So I'm just saying, I like to work informally. I've often done work through emails with departments. I'm not the filing of order queen, but once it becomes an unresolved safety issue, then I think there's an obligation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving forward.
Motion to pass the first reading.
We didn't, did we? I thought we passed the first reading at the last meeting. Am I wrong? Did we not vote on this one yet?
I think my point was
yeah,
we
I'm
just
sorry.
reconsidered and
Right.
yeah.
That seemed like a really long time ago. I forgot it was still on this order. Okay, so
Motion to pass
motion,
the first reading.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass the second reading, and the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the transfer.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
11 yeas, 2 nays.
Okay, with that, you've passed. All right, moving forward. These are some orders from the last meeting. So
He's going to committee.
there, a lot of them will be. I believe there's a few we need to vote on. We usually vote on the same evening, but
Right.
yes, most will go to committee. And please, hopefully, don't discuss it if it's going to committee because we're already an hour into the meeting. So thank you, everyone.
And can we just make a blanket order to just take 9 to 24 off the table? But I think they're all table, right?
I think, a blanket order to take them all off the table.
All the
Yeah,
table.
thank you.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to take items 9 through 24 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Then we have item 9. Counselor Devine?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to read it.
Yeah,
I wanted
I'll
to- And then I'm
read
going
it.
to amend it.
Okay. Item number 9 is filed by Counselor Devine, that Route 5 from McDonald's through to Hitchcock Street be paved unless this is considered a state road. If it considered a state road, that the Department of Transportation be notified. Counselor
I
Devine?
wanted to amend that to have it go through to Laurel Street. Apparently, it's already been done. The rest of the street is not a state road, that
Okay.
particular part.
So the motion was made to amend the order so that it says that Route 5 from McDonald's through to Laurel Street.
And that be sent to the DPW.
Okay, that it be sent to the DPW
And I'll second that.
and seconded under discussion.
Yeah, I'm
Do you
in
have
full
a hand up?
support of this, for sure, and I can just, through the chair, I mean, I was assured this is gonna be
Me
resurfaced.
too, yeah.
And remember, we spoke about that?
Yes,
Yes, and
yes.
I know the city council president spoke, and we were sure it's gonna be resurfaced this fall, but I think we all got the email, actually, I forgot I had it, Councilor Bacon sent it to me to remind me. I got the email that, again, I'm not being mean, Madam President, I'm not being mean, but when we don't get the bid work out, the buck's gotta stop somewhere, but nobody wants to say it. So
Yep.
it's somebody else's fault.
Yep.
Well, at some point, it's gotta be the mayor stepping up and saying, besides that he's frustrated, it's my fault, I goofed up. But that never happens. So now looks like we're gonna wait to the spring. So this is a great order. I'm in full support of it. And, but let's keep going, pushing this along. But I just want to
Great.
point that out.
Thank you. So send to DPW.
DPW with that amendment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 10 is filed by Counselor Devine, ordered that the DPW put a handicap parking space in front of 420 Dwight
Ordinance?
Street.
Send to
Ordinance.
ordinance
Send
with
to-
a copy to Disabilities Commission.
Send to ordinance with a copy to disabilities. Counselor
I
Devine?
could explain this a little bit. I actually had the chair of the DPW commission go up there because if you know where this is, the Children's Museum's here, the canal's there, and then there's buildings here. I wanted the handicap spot to be in front of 420 Dwight, which is, there's a business there called The Plan, and it's got a ramp going up there, and there's also a curb cut. And I don't know why, but they put it on they crossed the street and put it across the street. And if you've ever waited to try to get across that street, people from the plan have actually come out and helped people walk across the street because they go so fast down Dwight Street. So
Great.
I would
So, I mean,
appreciate
that's not
anything
great,
that
but
could be done.
it'll be referred to committee where it can be
Yep.
discussed
Thank
further.
you.
Perfect. So to ordinance, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
President, can I just offer a friendly amendment to that?
Yeah.
That we consider a raised crosswalk? Is that what Councilor Devine just indicated, that people are just barreling down the hill?
They are, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
We can, if I don't want, if the maker doesn't want to do that, but I just maybe another order.
Can always file another order.
Another order, yep.
Good idea.
Thank you.
All right, item 11, filed by Counselor Devine, ordered that Rule 9P be amended so that items not acted on in committee jackets become deemed tabled after 45 business days.
Motion
Sent to
to
Charter and Rules.
Charter and rules, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Items 12 through
13, 14,
15.
yep. 12, 13, 14, 15. Those are all injured on duties.
Do you want to take them as a package?
Yes.
Okay. The motion's been made to take items 12 through 15 as a package.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So item 12, I'll just read them briefly and then open it up for folks. 12 is a transfer in the amount of $22,243.12 from sergeants and patrolmen to injured on duty. I have a note here that represents 9 officers. 13 is a transfer request of $22,569.45. My notes here say 8 officers. Wait, sorry, that was 13, and that's from sergeants and patrolmen to injured on duty, and that represents 8 officers. 14 is a transfer request of $3,663.90. My notes say that represents 1 firefighter. And then 15 is a transfer request of $3,663.90 from captain to injured on duty fire, and that represents 1 firefighter. So Counselor Devine.
Motion that they all pass the first reading and be adopted.
Okay, so motion to pass the first reading.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is under discussion? Well, I guess I was supposed to do that before, but we could do the second reading.
Yep.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the second reading. Under discussion, Counselor Rivera.
Just one point to make. I've been asked by several constituents as to why is this continuous all the time? So for the sake of just explaining it to constituents that are watching, I won't do that. But it would be great that in the future or whenever that we're doing this constantly, because people keep asking me, why do we just do transfers all the time on a regular basis? And I try to explain it to the best of my ability to them, but for them it's like, it still doesn't make sense. So if there's a way to try to be more transparent as to what's happening with this, it would be great, because constituents are emailing me and calling me specifically about just the transfers, like back and forth, like what's the deal with that? That's it.
Okay. Counselor Bacon.
Thank you. So the reason these transfers are coming before us is so that the transfers between personnel lines are known to the public. Otherwise, all personnel transfers could just be made as long as they were within the budget, and the public would never be aware of different lines moving from one to another in different departments. And so it's so the public is aware. And that's why we pass these on the floor, because they're not controversial. They're simply a tracking mechanism. But on the other hand, I think it is really important for the public to know how many officers are out injured, because otherwise we wouldn't know either. So I do think it does let the public know what the status of the departments are. So
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, just briefly, I think Councilor Rivera raises a great question, and I'm glad you asked it on behalf of your constituents. Absolutely. Number one, on this particular issue, periodically, at least once a year, I think it's incumbent on all of us to come in and say, because I know a lot of us had raised the issue about workers' comp, and I don't think people realize how many millions this city spends on work-related injuries. It's a very serious issue. And you also have to count the end of the rainbow, which is the disability retirements, of which there's about 75 people currently on a disability retirement. That's a lot of money. It's that we spend on, because they got injured in one other reason. Some of them, there's probably nothing you could have ever done to prevent. Some of them, there could be. What are the lessons learned? And I hope one of the things on this particular issue we probably all should do is, how is a workplace safety committee? Is that stuff actually functioning? Are we reading these incident reports after? And are we changing practices and stuff? It's probably a good idea to have, I know the mayor has done some work in this area as well as personnel, but there's still a long ways for us to go to improve. As far as all the other transfers generally, there's just, the mayor starts off with his budget, and then that's the budget, and then there's the actual. And then that's where we come in, because whenever it gets moved around, as you approve the budget, we, the council, have to approve the moves from that. So it's a good question. That deserves a good answer to your constituents, so thank you for raising it.
Great. Anyone else? All right, so the motion was to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to approve 12 through 15.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Great. Thanks, everyone. With that, you've passed those. Item 16, filed by Councilor Devine, ordered that there be a transfer in the amount of $10,000 as follows, from personnel head admin clerk 10,000 to personnel seasonal temp. Oh, yikes.
Motion to pass the first reading.
So the motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. Councilor Devine.
Yeah, I wonder if we could pass this tonight. We did have Kelly from Personnel in the Finance Committee. She had originally asked for $40,000. I believe it was Councilor Jordan who asked her to come back with a lower rate, which is what she did. So this is what we asked for in Finance. That's what she's doing. So I think we can pass this tonight.
All right. Any other, Councilor Jordan?
Yeah, I think the chairman said it perfectly. I think we should support this for personnel, and she resharpened the pencil, and we thank her for that.
Great. Any other comments? So the motion was to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass second reading.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to approve the transfer tonight.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Great. Thanks, everyone. With that, you've passed it. Item 17 is filed by Councilor Devine. It's ordered that there be a transfer of $15,600 as follows, from the mayor contracted services to Council on Aging part-time custodian. Councilor Devine?
I'd like to make a motion, if I could, to pass this tonight, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to take final action tonight. Councilor Devine.
This is, I did speak to Neve, the director of the senior center, and this is strictly a part-time position. There's only one person that is doing the complete cleaning of the senior center. It needs to be sanitary, it needs to be cleaned all the time. It's really a tough thing for one person to do, so that's why I'd like to pass this tonight, and so that Neve can hire somebody part-time to help out with the cleaning of the senior center.
Okay, Councilor Bacon, and then Councilor Graney, and then Councilor Rivera.
So my main question, if we're going to pass it without it going to committee, is why is it coming out of the mayor's office instead of out of the Council on Aging budget? It would seem that it would normally be a transfer within their budget.
I don't know.
Well,
Okay. I have a couple more counselors.
and
Unless you want to
so
respond
anyway-
to that.
Well, I actually had just another technical question, if anybody knows the answer. I don't know if the chairman does or not, but is this to add another half-time position? So there's-
Part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to.
So we already have one custodian, and we've always had one, or did we lose somebody? and
I
now
don't
this is
know
the
that
backfill?
answer, but
Okay.
we only have one custodian for the whole building.
Okay.
That's a huge building, everybody's been in there. And they're just looking for a part-time worker to help the full-time person out.
Okay. I have Counselor Graney and then Counselor Rivera. And if we have a bunch of questions, we should send it to committee, so, but.
Yeah, I'm in support of the position. I think it's necessary. I go there every day. And it really would be conducive to the senior center to have this position. Where the money's coming from, that I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Israel Rivera.
Thank you. I think my only concern, and I'm in favor of it because we would need more than just one. It's just if it's one position now, that's creating a whole new position, and that would mean that the next fiscal year, then where do you get the money for that new position? So it's like, how are we mapping this out in a sense where we're actually looking where the money's coming from and not just shooting in the dark? I'm down with it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, like, how are we going to map out for is this forever or is just for a couple months? You know, that's the only thing.
Okay, Counselor Devine, do you
Well,
want to respond?
Knowing Neve, she is going to be putting this in her budget for next year because it's needed. It's desperately needed.
Okay, so the motion was to pass the first reading. I'm not seeing any other hands, right? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion to pass the second reading, and the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting in favor of the transfer.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney, Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Rumblety,
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, you've passed it on to item 18. Do you want to take, is it 18 through 23 as a package? It's up to you. Okay, so 18 is filed by Counselor Devine. Order that there be and is hereby appropriated a transfer of $33,000 as follows from engineer and civil engineer to professional engineering services. Send to finance.
It's up to the council. We can either pass this tonight or send it to Finance Committee. But it's just as though we had the order before, it's for the professional engineering services that we need to pay Victoria.
Okay.
So up to the
Counselor
council.
Bacon and then Counselor Rivera. Is your microphone on?
Items 18 through 23 and refer them to Finance Committee.
Second.
Okay, so the motion was made and seconded to suspend the rules and take items 18 through 23 as a package. Thanks, Jeffrey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I'll try to read them briefly. So we just did 18. 19 is another transfer request of $5,069.13 from audit professional accountant HPD to personnel professional services. 20 is that the city accept the HPD equipment donation, fair market value of $40,871.91. 21 is that we accept a grant, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, EMPG grant, $5,000, no match. 22 is a transfer request of $250,000 from patrolman and sergeant to overtime. And 23 is a transfer request of $22,378 from police captains to dispatchers and principal clerks. Send to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 24 was filed by Councilor Bartley that the city forester trim the tree approximate to 2147 Northampton Street. It's a constituent request. The last time our requests were ignored for years, and the elm tree split in two and crashed onto Route 5.
Receive, adopt, and refer to the Forester and DPW, please.
Second.
Receive, adopt, and send to the forester. Councilor Greeny?
Yeah, If I could, through the chair, to ask Councilor Bartley,
Sure.
is this a danger to the citizens up there? If it is, it's something that we should move on right away.
It's, well, the other one missed everybody, kept in the middle of the night, but I'm just hopeful that we can get this done. These are just, May?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. These are just very conscientious homeowners. They keep an immaculate property. So I think if we just have somebody go over and trim it, I think we'll be okay. If they can do it sometime this decade, it would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. So refer to the forester and DPW. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're done with last meeting. Now,
Start the real work, right?
yeah, it's 8:30, everyone. I'm just here to remind you, and the clock's here. So if I feel like we're going, I might just turn it on, and we'll just keep track of time. We'll see.
90 minutes on the clock, right?
So,
Item 25.
item 25 is from Mayor Garcia, reappointment of George Cologne of 101 St. Colby Drive to serve a 5-year term on the Redevelopment Authority.
To suspend our rules and reappoint him.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules and reappoint Mr. Cologne to his 5-year term on the Redevelopment Authority. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 26.
Madam President,
Yeah.
could I make a motion to take up 26 through 31 and be received?
Great. Motion has been made and seconded to suspend the rules and take items 26 through 31 as a package and receive. I'll read each one briefly. 26 is the minutes from the last meeting. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 are from Stephen Superba. These are various communications. The first NHPR article on sexual harassment scandal, the letter accompanying Boston Globe article on Cambridge harassment claim, August 12th Boston Globe article on Cambridge harassment claim, and an email to Mayor Garcia regarding the article on sexual harassment scandal. And 31 is the August 12th, 2024 Boston Globe article. Oh, sorry, 31 is a duplicate of. Okay. Got it. Motion was to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Receive and, I did one amendment on 26, receive and adopt.
Oh, thank
You
you.
have to actually approve the minutes.
Oh, right.
Thank you. So for 26, receive and adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then 27 through 31 received. And any under discussion? Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. So, because we have things in process relative to setting up a policy and a procedure relative to whistleblowing issues that have come back to us, and I think are in public service committee, it seems that these communications could go to public service. And we also all received a redacted FOIA request report that was sent to us, but it didn't get on the agenda for some reason.
Okay.
But it is a public document and it is public information. I'm not sure how we should go about receiving it or posting it, but I do think we should because it is public.
Okay.
But, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So was that a motion?
That'd be my motion to refer 27 through 31 to public.
I'll second it.
With a copy to the law department?
Yes, and it would be 1
second the amendment motion.
through 30, because 31's a duplicate, right?
Thank you. So, yeah, that's correct. So 27 through 30.
Yeah.
Receive, send to public service with a copy to the law department.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving along. I have just a couple updates for the president's report. Just want to thank Councilor Bartley. We had a great day yesterday at the Big E. It was very nice. Thanks everyone for showing up. It was a good turnout, great weather, no complaints. And thank everyone that was able to join us for the Puerto Rican parade and the mayor for helping coordinate that. It was a also hot, sunny day, and I got burnt, and that's what I got for that. special meeting for school committee, just a friendly reminder that that is on Wednesday, October 2nd. And for folks tuning in at home, residents of Ward 1 and Ward 4 that are interested should submit a letter of intent and resume. It's not required, but it's encouraged. It helps us. And you can send that information to the personnel office. All the details are on the city website. And then just a heads up that the comprehensive plan is kicking off, and there's listening sessions that are happening. So the public is invited to attend those and really encouraged. Everyone should give their 2 cents. That is Wednesday, September 25th, Saturday, October 26th, and Thursday, November 21st. All of those will be on the city's website. And that is really all the updates that I had. Does anyone have anything they want to add? Yes, Counselor.
Just last couple of meetings, that prominent people in Holyoke who passed away, and I was remiss that I did not mention Jim Albert, who was a longtime Holyoke police officer.
Yes, yep.
And I'd like just a moment of silence for Jim.
Moment of silence for Jim Albert. Thank you. He's my soccer coach. Fun fact. Yes.
Just to update, today we dedicated at the Senior Center Barbara Bernard Way at the entrance on Pine Street. So you'll see that sign up there.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. All right. Can we just try this out? Tell me if it works. Stopwatch. Did it start?
No?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. There we go. Just for fun.
Okay.
It helps me. There, that'll wake you up too. All right, everyone. So, the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order, this is item 32, that the City Council review noise ordinances and require a decibel meter reading before a ticket can be submitted or for music to be turned down, or to be asked to turn down. This is recommended that the order has been complied with. Councilor Rivera.
Yes, thank you. We've had this one, we met a couple times, waiting to get response from the police department. Fortunately, their interim chief came in. He told us that he actually went looking for the decibel meters and can only find one, which is amazing. And I thanked him for answering the maybe 6-month-long question that I've been having to the former chief around this particular issue. So he said he only found one. He also said that when he turns it on, and just by him talking, it already is at the 70 level decibel meter of just him talking regularly. So what came out of it is they need new ones, right? Obviously, and then they need training on it, and it needs to be calibrated to the setting that makes sense. But then there's the other piece of, if it is true that just by him talking, you're already meeting our ordinance level, then that's also another situation where we have to figure out what is a comfortable space for them for someone to be able to actually have loud music, where it's respectable in your home and it's still not a nuisance to the neighbor without it like violating it just by talking. So I told him thank you, and we just complied with the order, and I'll file another order to follow up with seeing where funds can be found for them to actually have the meters, because we're saying that there's a certain level that you have to cross, right, for us to write you a ticket, or I mean you can do it without it, but if we take it to court, there is no actual background with it. So I'll follow up with it on another order just to keep up with it. But I appreciate the interim chief coming in and explaining and going through their inventory and searching for the 1 decibel meter that they have.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Counselor Jordan?
Yeah, just briefly, I just want to thank Councilor Rivera for doing examining this issue and getting to the bottom of this. These quality of life issues are super important to residents. Your whole weekend could be destroyed because some neighbor decides, to hell with the neighborhood. I'm just going to crank it up and blast it to everybody. You need the police to show up. You need the police to knock on the door. You need the police to say, this isn't our opinion. This is right here. Here it is. See this decibel? This is at 100 or whatever the number it is. Knock it off and give people tickets if they won't, be nice and be civil. And especially when it's repeat, and a lot of this stuff is repeat occurring. So Holyoke will go a long way as a community if we take attention to detail to the smaller items and these quality of life issues. Those are the big things that citizens, they're only looking for the basics from their government. And one of them is, I bought a home, I live in a neighborhood, I want to live in peace. I work hard all week, and I want to sit in my backyard and do my thing and be with my family or whatever the case may be. They just are looking for us to look out for them. And this is not rocket science, and they're counting on their police to be concerned about this, because we cannot say, well, that's just a small item. We don't care, or we don't have resources for it. And the fact that we have these type of issues in compliance, and we're running a city here, and we have no decibel meters, or we got one, what's that tell you, right? So this is why we're here as a council, to get into these kind of things. This is what we're doing here. Because if you hadn't filed that and gotten to the bottom of that, no one would know we only have one. Exactly, and who knows if it even works. So, so this is what we're doing in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Greeny.
Just quickly, on a related issue, fireworks seems to be a big problem as well. A lot of the residents complain about the fireworks.
Yes. All right. Anyone else? Okay. So the motion has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 33, the Committee on Finance, to whom is referred an order that the library director and financial manager come into City Council to provide an update about the library responding to the fees associated with the tax exemption issue and the potential impact to services. Recommended that the order has been complied with. Councilor Devine.
Yeah, motion to pass the first reading?
No, you don't have to.
Don't have to do that, okay. We had Maria in, and we also had the new finance director of the library, and they gave a great update. Very quiet financial person, very, very quiet and soft-spoken, but she definitely knows her stuff. And I think it was today we may have gotten an email with all the information that we asked for. So they did a great job, and I appreciate everything they did.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Okie doke. So that the order has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 34 is Committee on Finance referred an order for a transfer of $111,000 from capital stabilization to highways, R&M streets and fixtures. Recommended that the order be returned to the auditor. Councilor Devine?
Yep, motion that this be returned to the auditor.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 35 is finance, that in order that the city engineer redesign and the DPW replace the traffic island proximate to 2 Brown Ave and 274 South Street for the purpose of creating public parking spaces. This is in the area that was left after the road work to alter Brown Ave. It was completed and is in need of alterations. Recommended that the order has been complied with and be referred to the mayor and the interim city engineer. Councilor Devine.
Yeah, I will turn this over to Councilor Bartley. It was his order, and he can explain a little bit. If you're wondering where this is, it's Brown and South. It's this very strange little, what would you call it, David?
A little pocket park.
Pocket park. So he can explain more.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I really appreciate the finance chair taking it up. I think we had a good meeting. Basically, the way I left it in committee was that it would be helpful if the engineer would visit the site and give us some thoughts about maybe implementing this. As the chair said, it's across the street from General Cleaners, more or less at the top of the hill. The part came to be when Councilor Norris led the effort to try to figure out slowing down traffic on Brown Ave, and you certainly can't blame her for the effort. And this is kind of an unintended consequence, how the traffic kind of sort of veers to the left and you hit a stop sign, and what left over there is a park. The company that's, they're in Holyoke, I'm blanking their name, but they do a great job of cleaning it up and planting flowers and all that. But right now, the lack of parking and the narrow space is really impacting those 2 or 3 or 4 houses there. So we're hopeful that something can be done to maybe, without negatively impacting the park, because it's a nice little thing, but they do need the parking. So I'm hopeful that down the road, maybe next year or two, an engineer will come in and sort of give us some thoughts, and the mayor hopefully will finance it, and we'll go from there. But hey, this is a start, and I really appreciate everybody listening.
Thank you. Councilor Rivera?
Real quick through the chair, are we talking about the island? Are we talking about the island?
No. If you're going over Brown Avenue and you come to the light, you take a right on South, and right in there is this little.
Right, that little, on your right-hand side, that little
Right.
island.
Yeah.
That I think is GNS. Yeah, you used to
Closed it off.
No, that's an island now. That's why it's maintained by that CMS or something, landscaping. It's an actual island now.
Yeah, but it's
Like a city island, like all the other islands.
kind of like it is. You're right, Councilor.
Yeah, that's why they maintain it and they have the little sign put up.
Yeah, and they do a good job, but the parking's kind of needed.
No, I just wanted to clarify because you said it was a park, and I was like, "Where? There's a park?"
Well, it's a little tiny park.
No, but I appreciate it.
It's
Thank
a
you.
pretty big traffic island, but
No, it's a huge island. Yeah.
So recommend that the order has been complied with and is referred to the mayor and interim city engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, Finance. Heading to Public Safety. Item 36, Committee on Public Safety referred an order with community support. Sylvia Lane residents have expressed health and safety concerns regarding the encampment behind McNulty Park and their cul-de-sac. There are several houseless people living in this area. There is an abundance of trash and other concerning happenings, although it's not as noticeable when the trees have full foliage. The fall and winter brings quality of life issues. This must be addressed. Recommended that the order has been complied with. Councilor Rivera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam President, this was an order filed by Councilor Givner. We had Tim Rivers online. This is basically a quality of life issue that the Parks and Recs mayor, the Flex Squad, as well as the Board of Health are dealing with this issue. And it was complied with a vote of 3-0. So I will give it to Councilor Givner, being it was her order, and see if she wanted to speak on it.
Councilor Givner, do you wanna-
Thank you, Madam Chair. So basically, I filed the order because of complaints from the neighborhood. It started with complaints from Sylvia Lane, Sylvan Lane. It's like a little cul-de-sac behind where, like, from where they are, you can see the back of McNulty Park, and basically, when there's no foliage, you can really see like the encampments back there. So. And from McNulty, there you can see a lot of trash. So people who walk through there, see an unkempt park with lots of trash everywhere. So I've contacted the DPW about this a few times, and I have asked what they're doing about this. And so it seems like they are doing a lot, but it's hard to keep up with, and you can't force people to do things. They're not going in and arresting people. Obviously, they're going in and referring people to services and trying to, get them out of that environment, especially before the winter. So they showed their plans, and I guess we just have to, hope that what they're doing is enough to convince people that being behind McNulty Park is not going to be the best for them this winter.
Thank you, Councilor Israel Rivera, and then Councilor McGrath.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that I remember that I believe Mr. Rivers had mentioned that there was discussion as to whether or not this was state property or if it was city property, and then they found out that it was city property. So now they're in the process of trying to figure out how best to proceed with, like Councilor Givner had mentioned, with the flex squad and all the other.
But there are encampment areas
Yep.
like down that are on like closer to Amtrak tracks, which is
Right.
then state property. So that requires an entirely different
Mechanism.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have Councilor McGrath-Smith and then Councilor Jordan.
One of the sort of side quests of that conversation was around trash, and up in McNulty Park proper, the trash can that was attached to the McNulty Park sign has been removed. It was removed on the basis that people were using it to put their residential trash there, and whether that's tied to the encampments or not, right? We don't necessarily know, but one could potentially see a link there. But the trash can was removed because they wanted to discourage people from putting their residential trash there. Ever since then, there have been bags of trash around the sign that people are bagging and placing there. So that doesn't strike me as the best potential solution unless somehow people, decide over time, oh, there really isn't a trash can there, and stop doing it. But it's really problematic. Right now we have people who are living back there, and they're either going to throw their trash down the hill, which we don't want, and every now and then we ask them to go back and work on cleaning it up, or they're going to need to have a place to put it. And if they can't put it in a trash can that's in the park, then what other option is there than to throw it down the hill? So it's hard because it's, I feel like the Board of Health is very in a place of wanting to treat the people who are living there with dignity, support them with services, try to figure out how to get them moving forward and meet them where they're at. But there's also a quality of life issue around there being trash strewn about our city. And I feel like, yes, we could say this is complied with for now, and maybe it's a different order. Maybe it's just a coming back to it in a few months. But I do think that we need more of an answer, and the Board of Health might have a really clear philosophy around what the right choices are. And I don't know if that's necessarily shared by people making decisions around where there are trash cans or not, or whether or not we are allowing people to live there, but then not providing them a place to put their trash. So then what does that mean for us as a city? It's going to go everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jordan?
Obviously, homelessness, a very challenging, tricky issue. If people could solve it, we would have solved it. As a society, we really haven't yet, so therefore we continue to be challenged with these balances. I will say a couple points, though. If we're going to, got to make sure the pendulum perhaps doesn't swing too much in any one direction, but there's certain things that we have to do. And the good news is the Supreme Court has recently given us additional guidance on this topic. The first thing I'll say before I get to that piece is I do not accept the police departments, and I don't know if they're getting this from the mayor or who's telling them what, but this notion that I'm watching people panhandle in the medians on double yellow lines in the street, that is not legal. That is not protected speech. Okay, period. Full stop. Standing on the street with a give me money sign, that is protected speech. You cannot move them off the sidewalk because they have to be treated the same as any political protester or anybody else. They have the same free speech rights as other people. However, nobody can stand in the street and go car to car panhandling like people do over here on Maple Street and at the beginning of 391 and up on Northampton Street. It not only makes the city look atrocious, it's completely unsafe. Okay, and it is not protected, and I'm sick of this police department not enforcing the damn law for everybody, them, us, all of us. That stuff needs to stop, and it appears that they just say, well, they're panhandling, so we do nothing and we just drive right by. That appears to be the current approach because nothing is changing.
and it's enough. And there needs to be engagement and if they want to allow it, it should be allowed within the confines of protected speech, and they can look, there's a number of other city legal opinions. ACLU has done a lot of work in this area, because they stand up for free speech rights and this and that. They need to really get trained on what is allowed and not allowed. Why I bring all that up is, this is another issue, allowing homelessness on city property. The Supreme Court, I hope someone's reading the recent Supreme Court case on this, because this issue's happening all over the country on city parks, city property, and whatnot. And guess what the Supreme Court said? City has full authority to say, you're out, period, full stop, okay? So we need to be, that doesn't mean we're just gonna unilaterally do that and, whatever, but that's got to be one of the potential solutions if there isn't a balance, or people are continuing to refuse help, or whatever the case, whatever established criteria. I would like to see some sort of leadership who are here every day develop some sort of policy on people who are just living on city property and setting up encampments. There's got to be a policy developed that says, okay, well, you don't have a situation here, but are you trying to get out of here? Or, are you not littering and throwing stuff everywhere? Are you not a nuisance? There's got to be discussions and parameters put, that they don't need ordinances from us. This is just running the city day to day. But at the end of the day, it isn't that this city's powerless to address these problems. We have the power. There's no question. Supreme Court said flat out, you can just tell them to scram and get out. But we want to be humane in doing it as well. So, I just wonder how we're addressing, a number of the counselors have made these different delicate balances between these. Are we developing policies in this regard? I don't know if we need to file orders and updates on what exactly is happening, but there should be, how is this all being administered? Again, a tricky issue, but we need to really get into what the law allows us to do. The law department needs to weigh in and give good guidance to the police department, because what I'm seeing seems like we've allowed the pendulum to go too far to one extreme of people going, I'm at red lights, just people going car to car and all this other stuff. No, that is not okay. Nobody should do that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Councilor Anderson Burgos.
I agree. There's panhandling is an issue, and it's not just an issue in Holyoke. It's an issue in Boston. If you travel to Boston as much as I do, it's an issue in Hadley when I go do my Sunday shopping. It's an issue in a lot of municipalities. I will think back on a comment that was just mentioned regarding the mayor. When I first got elected in 2018, when I first started serving, I remember meeting with Chief Febo, and this was brought up, this exact same thing, and he said they're protected. They're protected. There's nothing you can do. So trying to say, I don't know if the mayor, if the mayor is telling them to do this or not to do it, is not appropriate, because this has been happening way before our current mayor. This has been happening way before that. So trying to attach this to his name is wrong, and that's part of the problem of this body. You keep trying to add these things to make the mayor look wrong or bad. This is existing everywhere. Is there something we can do about it? Probably, but to point a finger at the mayor about it is wrong.
Okay, I am Councilor Jordan. Go for it.
Yeah,
and then
it's a fair point. The counselor just made. Not this specific mayor. He's correct. This has been going on pre-Mayor Garcia. The mayorers. Let me make it plural.
Okay.
Either they're getting guidance from the chief executive officer, who the police chief reports to the mayor. Okay. If the mayor's not weighing in, he should weigh in. And number two is, if he's not weighing in and it's just the police chief's call and he's deferring completely to the police chief, by the way, that is a decision. To defer to someone else to make a decision is a decision. And if that's the case, then the police chief and the law department need to work together to find out what the law is, because Chief Febo was wrong, okay? It isn't what they're doing is legal. No one has a right, whether you're holding a vote for Smith sign, Joe Smith or whoever, in the middle of the street versus going car to car at red lights. That is not protected speech, okay? So this is not, and this is what I'm trying, this is the whole reason I'm bringing this up is I feel like the pendulum has swung too far in that direction, and we need to get to a recalibrating of what our response is to these things so that there's balance. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are recommend that the order has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilor Greenie.
Yeah, I'd like to take 38 through 42 as a package. One is leave to withdraw, the others I comply with. The reason for a little bit of brevity here.
Do 37.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go
We
ahead.
add 37? I don't think we did that.
My apologies. I said that. So it's actually 37.
Through 42.
37 through 42, yeah.
Just do,
They've all been complied with or given leave to withdraw.
It is a committee report.
Well,
we did 36.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So Councilor Sullivan has his hand up.
as far as 37 goes, I held all my comments on 36 because I thought it was going to be part of 37.
I got you. Okay. Okay.
When that happened.
So why don't we just do 37, and then Councilor Greenie, we can take your advice for 38 through 42.
Whatever you want.
Okay. So 37 was the Committee on Public Safety, to whom was referred an order that the Board of Health and Police Department come to Public Safety to discuss various issues in the community related to homelessness and how we can work towards better solutions. Councilor Rivera, and I've got Councilor Sullivan in the queue.
Thank you. So this order was filed by Councilor Jordan and Councilor Ocasio. That day I didn't have Carmen, was out sick, and Councilor Jordan, I'm not sure. But either way, we did have Tim Rivers from representing the Board of Health. We also had Nicole Arnold, which is a nurse that works there. She did give exceptional information, and she had quite a discussion. We were given some information packets that addressed the issue. U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, 7 principles for addressing encampments, Western Mass Task Force for Housing First. We did have, like I said, was a deep discussion on this, and to this order, I had seen, I think it kind of goes with 36 too. I did see on social media where the mayor was being blamed, where there was encampments happening over across the basketball courts by Holyoke High. I did reach out to Chief Cruz, and what he told me was they do go by, they have a move. They try to have the night shift as well go by and have them move. And then it came to find out that CHD and was handing out tents to the homelessness. So they were going there and setting up around the city with their tents. Somehow the word got out, CHD is no longer doing this, no more. So like I said, Dave, Bartley, if you want to chime in, I know you you spoke to Nicole Arnold. Kevin, not sure if you were online.
I've got a list
I'm
of people.
good. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the report.
Thank you. Councilor Sullivan, and then Councilor Israel Rivera.
Yeah, so just to Councilor Jordan's point about the pendulum here, he's absolutely right. And what's going on here is the balance is between compassion, which I think this city has shown more than its fair share of compassion. And there's a line you cross between compassion and enablement, all right? To continue to enable people to continue in a way not only detrimental to their own health, welfare, and safety, but to the rest of the community as well. As far as these encampments go, I hope everybody can remember the game of whack-a-mole. because that's all that is going on right now, is they're being closed down in one place and popping up hours later in another place. So there's nothing really being done about it, except it's bouncing around all over the city. The reason I'm dwelling on this so much right now is the city just lost $30,000 because on city property because another encampment, which was probably busted up 3 or 4 times now, was set up on Middle Water Street, and the encampment was right up against the new aluminum buttresses we put in our flood wall, and they've been melted, completely destroyed. And this is going to go, I'm not offering a solution right now, but I'm just saying this is what is really going on in the city.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rivera, then Councilor Graney, then Councilor Ocasio.
Thank you. So, yeah, as Councilor Jenny Rivera mentioned, we did have Nicole Arnold, who's actually on the commission for Board of Health, as well as we had Mr. Rivers with us. We coupled both orders together, 35 and 36, because they're very similar. But now that I read the order, the Board of Health came in and they gave a brief explanation as to what they're doing and what the city's been doing in collaboration with the mayor and as well as the Flex Squad and all that. The representatives of the police department didn't actually come in, and having actually done a tour with them and rode in the car with them, right? Ironically, I rode in a police car, right? And not in the back seat. I had front seat. I had shotgun this time.
We didn't clarify.
They let you drive?
No. We're not doing all that. That's too much. They tried to give me a vest and everything. I was like, you're doing too much. I don't want a vest. I'm all set. And they drove slow through Sao Holyoke too. They drove mad slow. Everybody's looking at me like, anyways. Anyways, right. I think it makes sense to file another order to have them come in and elaborate as to what they do on a day-to-day basis. I learned a lot as to what they're doing. I feel they can do more, but at the same time, like especially with the guy on Maple Street, this guy has been in Holyoke for my whole life. I've seen him for years. He's more brash about it because I guess he can, right? But what are we doing for people like that? Because there is the Ray Street situation that we got going on now. And they're the ones that, if it's not police, it should be them going out there to go talk to them and saying, hey, listen, we can't have you on this spot, but any other services we can try to do. So I think it's taking a deeper dive as to what's going on there on Ray Street and seeing how else we could try to expand some of that work so that the pendulum kind of shifts in a way where we would like it to be. Holyoke is compassionate, and it's not just compassionate now. It was built by people that came from other countries, right? So this is us. This is what we do. We are compassion, but it's got to be a balance. I agree with it. But maybe filing an order to bring them in, that regular team in, Detective Beeben and Detective Zerhide, or Sergeant Zerhide, if they can come in and have maybe a more conversation with the board, with the Public Safety Commission, that would probably be more beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councilor Givner, then Councilor Graney, then Councilor Ocasio, and then Councilor Sullivan. Just letting everyone know it is 9:06. Councilor Givner?
I think it's a great idea to have people come in and talk to us about things. But it seems like we have a lot of quality of life issues. I wonder if it might make sense to have like a whole meeting devoted to just the police coming in, maybe the Board of Health or whoever at the same time, and just bang out quality of life issues and try to figure out who's responsible for what and try to hold someone accountable. Because I mean, the amount of times I see people run red lights when I only commute through the city twice a day is pretty crazy, and my commute is only about 1.5 miles. So, thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Graney.
If it's legal, it's legal. If it's illegal, it's illegal, and it has to be addressed. That's all.
Thank you. Councilor Ocasio.
Where do I begin?
Just speak into your microphone.
Saturday, I was walking, I was walking to South Holyoke, my normal walk, just to get some air and see what's what. there's a lot of homeless people. They are carrying around with carriages full of bottles, all kinds of stuff. And there was a particular gentleman that was blocking the whole majority part of the bus stop. And I addressed him, and he got all bent out of shape. But what I did was, I asked him nicely, and he would not remove his stuff because he was blocking the whole sidewalk, and people was like going on the street around him, you know, because he was in the center of the sidewalk. So since he didn't listen to me, what I did was, you know, it's sad. I didn't want to do it, but it had to be done because something has to be done. I called the cops on him. So, but the cops already had saw him and saw me talking to him, and they just kept it pushing, you know. And then the same officers had to come back and address the problem. So what I did was, because nowadays you can't even trust the cops to like really, you know, push an issue, I stood there 25 minutes while he cleaned up that whole area, taking his sweet little time, you know. And I got some of my family are they're out there too, and it's by choice. Some of them are by choice. And if people are going to be giving them out, like Jenny said, free tents and giving them everything so they can, like, you know, make a little village, is somebody has to stop that. And I think that the mayor should put something together. I mean, because he's the head up, you know, and he's the one that makes this, you know, the last call. So on Jenny ward on her side, because my ward divides right onto Cabot Street, Ward 1 and Ward 2. But in Ward 2 on that side, that's where they all be at, you know, and basically all, and they be out there during the day. They don't care, you know, they're camping out. It don't matter. And it's making the city look kind of like crappy in a way, you know, but those they're getting grants or whatever based on the homeless population or poverty or whatever, they need to also do the full work, you know. I'm out there doing full work. I'm out there, you know, getting people into programs, but I don't know what else to do. I'm just a one person, so I don't know.
All
We need
right.
to figure it out as a whole city.
Got it. Thank you. Councilor Sullivan?
Yep. So the problem, I've heard from a number of councils here, Board of Health, Tim Rivers, the police department, Chief Cruz, the mayor, Josh Garcia. None of them are going to fix this for us. The problem lies in the court system. And until not only this city council, but the city councils in our neighboring communities as well, and our citizenry, get together and get behind this and start putting pressure on the judges and the psychiatrists, psychologists, and stuff that allow this to continue. This is the pendulum that Councilor Jourdain referred to, where the swing from compassion and offering the services are all there, but there has to be another side to it as well. All right, and that is through. It's not incarceration, right? But some people have reached the point in their lives where they have lost control and is affecting the rest of the community, and they're being allowed by the judges and the system to stay out there on the street to their own detriment as well as society's. And that's where the pressure has to come. It's not going to come from the Board of Health. It's not going to come from ordinances or anything else. It's going to come from a community that starts to put the pressure on our own judicial system to deal with these people in the proper way. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gibner?
Thank you, Madam President. I just would like to add that there's no housing for any of these people, so they can be in every program, they can be arrested, come back out, go into another psychiatric program or substance use program or any kind of program. They can have all the help in the world, but there's nowhere to live. There's no shelter space, so I think it's all well and good to hold our judicial system accountable, but communities need to build more housing. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, it's a complicated issue. I hear that. Okay, so recommended that the order has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So item 38 is the only one on here to be given leave to withdraw. So why don't we do that one first? The Committee on Public Safety, that the Board of Health be invited to attend to discuss if changes are possible to changes to the tobacco license insurance policy. Recommended that the order be given a leave to withdraw. Councilor Rivera.
Okay, so this was, it was actually we took up 3 orders at one time. Originally filed by former Councilor Puello, then was filed again by Councilor Bartley, and also Councilor Rivera. Again, Tim River was online, and the Board of Health submitted local regulations pertaining to inquiry, information, active tobacco permits in the city of Holyoke, which is very helpful in determining which businesses were in compliance and which were in violation. So if we could have,
Yeah, I have Councilor Bartley has his hand up. Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I'm just going to be incredibly brief.
Yeah.
So this is Will's order. We're going to, I wrote a duplicate one, so we're just going to give this leave to withdraw.
Okay.
Just for the public, that it was a great meeting run by Chair Rivera. I was very happy to be there. We had an excellent discussion with Mr. Rivers, one of the new members of the BOH physician. I'm just blanking his name, but he seems very engaged. And this issue is going to be brought up again. I owe Jeff an email relative to a couple of citations I brought up that night, and I'm going to make sure I do that tonight or tomorrow when I go back to work. So everybody be on the same page, and the hope is that Jenny will take this up again in due course, and we'll have another discussion on it. Just suffice to say for the public that there's an arbitrary decision, in my opinion, by the Board of Health. They did it with good intentions, clearly, but it impacts businesses severely when you take away, when somebody closes their bodega or their convenience store and the license is gone. And they have a phrase for it. It's going to be eviscerated, and that leaves fewer licenses for people. So, anyway, we'll talk about it down the road with the Board of Health and go from there.
Councilor Rivera, did you have your hand up?
Oh, yeah, no, it was to elaborate, I guess, a little more. Councilor Bartley kind of hit the nail on the head. I think the only thing I would add is we discovered, or Councilor Bartley cited some language where if everyone closes and there is no new process to get a new license, then technically, eventually, there'll be no licenses in Holyoke for tobacco, which I don't smoke tobacco, but at the end of the day, I totally get it. If you have the choice that you would like to, it's an option. So I kind of refiled the language. I didn't know Councilor Bartley did. I just refiled the language to kind of figure out how this aligns with our planning for our economic planning as a city and all the things that we're doing with our tourist industry and bringing people to the city. So it's like, if we're putting caps on tobacco licenses, then how does that align with our economic plans, with what we're doing, to see if both departments are talking with regards to that. But Jenny will take it up again, and we'll see where that goes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Oh, Councilor Jordan?
Yeah, I also was just kind of curious. It seems like Holyoke supports recreational marijuana, but do they support recreational tobacco? So
I think they're confused.
You know, I'm always hearing these libertarian arguments in favor of marijuana use, but at the same time, it seems like something's going on the tobacco side. So I'm just a casual observer. I don't happen to use either, but I'm just kind of curious.
Oh, okay.
If I may, through the chair to Councilor Jordan, real quick, I agree. I think it's more about the inhaling some sort of smoke within a building type of issue. The tobacco thing, they're gung-ho about that, but then there's also like hookah and stuff like that too that they're gung-ho about. So there are new laws that are coming forward around social consumption, and even that we won't be able to take part in because we have these other laws that are actually state laws where you can't smoke inside a building that are kind of trumping certain things. But Yeah.
All good points. All right, recommended that the order be given leave to withdraw. Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor Greeny.
Just one other point, there's also, medical issues and medical costs that are involved in all of these things.
For sure. All right, thanks. Recommended that the order be given leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So, Counselor Greeny, did you want us to take up 39? So motion's been made to suspend the rules and take up items 39, 40, 41, and 42 as a package. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So 39 is public safety, that Captain Moriarty provide an updated list of safety options and procedures put in place to deal with safety and security at City Hall, subcommittee meetings, and full city council meetings. The 40 is that public safety, that surveillance cameras be installed in the corridors of City Hall and the annex. And 41 is an order that an emergency button be installed in the city council chamber. 42 is that Suez and the Holyoke Housing Authority meet with the Public Safety Committee to discuss how to fix the flooding issues that residents from Bowdoin Village have been experiencing for years. All of these have been recommended that the order has been complied with. Councilor Jenny Rivera, a nice brief overview is welcome.
All right, so 39, 40, and 41 were all complied with. These orders ranged from 2017 to 2021 and were taken up at executive session, so complied with. And number 42, Councilor Anderson Burgos says this was also complied with.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We're moving forward. So 43 on your agenda and 44 were received in committee.
What does that mean?
Sorry.
Oh, archived.
Archived.
Okay.
They were put onto the agenda before we had the charter and rules last night.
Got it.
So,
It's all set.
is there, go ahead, Councilor
I
McGrath.
may be looking at I was looking at the one that was mailed to me. So I was going to make a motion that we take 43, 44, 45, 46, and 72, which was the late file, together as a package.
Okay.
Those numbers all still make sense?
43, 44, 45, and then late file 72.
All of them were moved from committee back to council.
43 and 44 you received, which is the same as our.
Oh, that's true. Okay. I still think it makes sense for us to address them.
Okay.
But I guess we can leave them as archived as long as people still have the letters and they're willing to just move on.
I'm just facilitating the meeting.
Okay.
Are we ever going to take them up again?
They're just pertinent to the items for tonight.
Okay, then we
Jump
can
into
do
those.
43, 44, 45, and 72 as a package.
And
All those in
40
favor?
And 46.
Oh, and 46, all as a package. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
So all of these are connected to our conversation around the treasurer position. And to be clear to constituents who may be following this issue, what effectively happened is, although the body voted for us to make this decision through the voters at the November election, we then received two communications, one from our state rep, Pat Duffy, and then another from the city clerk, Brenna Murphy-Leary, telling us that we should reconsider our action and not do that. And that largely had to do with the complexity of having to have two check-in, check-out tables, and also all of the mail-in ballots that now occur. You would have to send two envelopes, and people would have to send them back in the right separate envelopes, or their votes would be null and void. So there was a fear that there would be a lot of voter irregularity, that there would be a lot of difficulties in running the election correctly. And so we were asked to reconsider. The timing got messy because then, in and out of that, we were on summer recess. So in order for us to be able to take this up in charter and rules, it had to go to council, it had to be moved to charter and rules, discussed in charter and rules, then brought back to committee. So we're bringing it to you tonight, but the reality is that the November option is no longer really even possible, because not only was it, we were told we shouldn't do it, but now the state legislature really couldn't move on it in such a way that we even could do it if we wanted to. So we have to go back and reconsider our vote, and that's complicated by the timing. So you'll notice that what we have in the late file says, ordered that the revised home rule petition seeking authorization for setting January 28th, 2025 as the date for a special municipal election on changing the city charter to provide for an appointed treasurer hereby is approved. We're going to ask to take action on this tonight so that we can move forward with this as our path forward. The other path, which is connected to items 45 as it originally stood and 46 as it still stands, was to go the route of us deciding ourselves as a body rather than giving the choice to the voters. So if you vote tonight to approve the late file 72, you're saying, no, I want to stick with this, the concept. The voters are going to make this decision, and they're going to move forward with it on this date, January 28th. The other option is 46, where we use provisions of MGL Chapter 43C for the purpose of changing the position of treasurer from elected to appointed. That is another pathway. We talked as a committee about why we felt like it made sense for us to move forward with the voters having the ability to make this decision. It's not without its complexity. We don't know how they will decide. We're pushing it off to a later date. That gives us a little bit less wiggle room in making other decisions that we're trying to make in this body. So those are the options in front of you. The committee voted 3-3 to move it forward for us to look at 45, which is considering the opinion of the city clerk, which was made pursuant to information received from the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office. The charter change should be done via special legislation as approved by the city council and mayor as opposed to the city voters. That date is made clear, because we need the date to be clear, in the late file. So we have to take final action on that in order for us to actually set the election date and move forward. That's why the late file came in. We realized afterwards that we had to vote specifically tonight on the date.
Okay, Councillor Bacon.
Thank you. We also amended that language in number 45 to change it to a special election that would take place in January. That was the recommendation of our city clerk.
Yes.
And so the late file language does, as I understand it, I just saw it when I got here shortly before, that date of January 28th. So we are staying in keeping with the vote of the council, that the vote will go to the citizens, and I'm hoping we'll just move this tonight. And the committee did recommend that 46 was reviewed and considered complied with, not to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Anyone else? Alrighty, so
So I'd like to make a motion that we receive items 43 and 44
Okay.
because they went to committee and they should be officially received by the body.
Okay, so motion to receive items 43 and 44.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then item,
Motion for us to receive and approve the recommendation from 45 and 72.
okay, so motion to receive and approve items 45 and 72. I'm just going to read the amended language. That the recommended that the order be adopted, amending from, quote, the charter change to the following. The charter change should be done via special election with a date to be determined in the month of January by the city clerk. And then the item 72 is ordered that the revised home rule petition seeking authorization for setting January 28th, 2025 as a date for a special municipal election on changing the city charter to approve for an appointed treasurer hereby is approved. Do we do a roll call vote for this? Yeah. Was that what you were going to say, Counselor?
Well, that, but also I did want to just say, it sounds like there was two options. We were listening to the state rep in the law department talking about amending our prior vote versus this is a new petition. So just wanted to point it out. It sounds like we decided we're doing an amend of our current one to just update it with the new date of the vote.
Well, and that's why I filed the language as a late file, so that, because it is technically a new petition.
So we're calling this a new petition then? Is that where we came down?
After the meeting, we talked to the law department and Rep. Duffy, and Rep. Duffy was encouraged to just have the same thing with the correct language for January 28th.
And, sorry.
Yes.
And special election.
And special election, because that was what we were missing before.
That was the amendment.
Yes.
Because we needed that word
To the
special
language.
election in there.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Right.
Beautiful. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else?
Appreciate your work on that. Yep.
Well, if I may.
Under discussion, Councilor Bacon.
So I was a little bit confused about whether this was an amendment or new. And I didn't know if, just for clarification, if we were then advised by the legislature that we needed new, that this vote could accommodate.
Yes.
That should new language be needed, this vote also approves that.
Correct.
72 does.
Okay, okay. So as long as we're covering both and we don't have to
We're
do
covering
it
both.
again.
Yes, exactly. This should be
Let's
the
not
last
go
time
for
we
three.
have to vote on this.
Okay, thank you.
I won't bet my life on it, but
Yeah,
I feel pretty confident.
Okay.
Anything else? Or no? Okay, go ahead. The clerk will call the roll. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought you shook your head no at me.
I wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Councilor Anderson Burgos.
I just wanted, to clarify, I'm voting no, not because I'm taking any power away from the people. I believe the people gave me the power to make a good decision. And I believe that this body could make that decision for those people, and that we could make this turnaround real quickly, and we don't have to spend $30,000 on a special election. So I'm voting no simply based on that, to save that money and to know that the people have elected us to make this decision for them. That's all.
Okay, Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. I would just note that under our current laws, as they exist in the city, we can't do that right now. We would have had to adopt a state law in order to do that. Thank you.
Councilor, did I see a hand over here? Okay.
On the motion?
Oh,
Second.
okay.
I was just going to make one point, so for people that are aware, by our vote here, if the public votes to do this, they are reversing a vote that they took in November of 1936.
Thank you.
Okay?
Sure they'll-
So that the point is that the council passed a special legislation in June of 36, it was adopted by the legislature, and they voted to have the elected treasurer four-year term, our citizens. Now, this vote, if they vote to reverse it, would be to do the opposite, just so they're aware of the context of why it's important to have it as a vote.
Thank you. Okay, so thanks everyone for a good discussion last night in Charter and Rules too. So what? Monday. One day? It was Monday. Oh yeah, yesterday was Tuesday. What? It's gonna throw me off all week. Okay, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to approve these item 45 and 72.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Nope.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
Okay, with that, you've passed it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the law department and Madam Clerk, everyone. Good, lots of things discussed. Okay, so 47 and 48 were tabled in committee, and 49 was received in committee, or Yes, Counselor.
46, I think we have to vote on complied with because it was reviewed and
Oh, thank you. Okay. So item 46,
I'll make the motion that it's complied with.
No, second.
motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. 47 and 48 were tabled in committee. So,
Those are all set.
yep. And then 49 was received in committee. Do you want to add anything, Counselor McGrath-Smith?
So we had a number of orders here. So 49, 50, 49 and 50, both were older that were still in the jacket, one of which had already been discussed and received in council. The other had been sent to us erroneously as a copy when it was referring to sections of the ordinances and not to charter. Both are just, being given.
No, we call them complied with.
Complied with.
Motion that 49 and 50 are complied with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
49 was complied with? Okay. Sorry, I had in my notes that it was received. My bad. So,
Second.
that's it? Okay.
That's it.
Wanted to make sure. Does anyone have anything else they want to add? Okay, so motion that they are complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. 51 was tabled in committee. 52, the Committee on Charter and Rules, to whom was referred an order that Rule 4B be amended to reflect current practice and open meeting law, clarifying that items for city council meeting agendas are due at noon, not 1 o'clock, and adding that a Monday holiday would also change the deadline to Thursday instead of Friday. Recommended that the order be adopted with, there was some amended language. Counselor McGrath-Smith?
And you should have the rules changed there in your documents on your desks. So effectively, just making a couple of small changes, sort of just making it, the rules actually reflect what the practice has been. So shifting it from 1 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We also added language that said, or in the case that the Monday prior to a council meeting is a holiday, or upon the request of the clerk. Such order, request, resolution, or other business shall be filed on the last Thursday before the regular meeting. Right now, it says 1 o'clock instead of 12, and it only talks about Fridays being a legal holiday, but if Monday's a legal holiday, you also need to move it back to Thursday. Also, there are times where there may be a pending election, there may be a staffing shortage, there might be a reason why the clerk is saying, I'm requesting that you bring items to me on Thursday instead of Friday so that I can make sure this agenda gets out and we're following open meeting law. So that's why we made those changes to that rule.
Anyone else? Okay, so this was recommended that the order be adopted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Yay, we're on motions, orders, and resolutions. We're at 9:35. Okay, so as always, don't talk about it if it's going to committee, and I appreciate you all. Thank you. 53, filed by Councilor McGrath-Smith, ordered that the DPW Director, Parks and Rec Director come into council to give a report on addressing the issue of the Pulaski Park wall deteriorating, trees and shrubbery behind the wall not being removed due to issues with Mass DOT, various railroad companies, and what progress is being made in returning Pulaski Park to the view park it was designed to be. Send to...
What is best? Is it like DGR?
That is government.
In the past, it went to public safety, but we've had that conversation a couple times. I mean, do it again.
So public safety?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll just make a motion that allow the chair to give up an abbreviated reading for all these.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so 54 was filed by myself, that the city council amend our rules to identify which committees certain licenses should be sent to.
Charter and rules.
Charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 55, also filed by myself, order that the city council present proclamations to the following Hall of Fame inductees. And this is for the Holyoke High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Receive and adopt.
Second.
Receive and adopt.
And the date?
The date of the event is, hold on, please hold.
You can get it to me.
October 26th. October 26th.
Okay.
You want to take up
And-
71 because it's for Joe?
Oh, yes, okay, and then suspend the rules to take up 71 as a package.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ordered that the city council present a proclamation to Joe McGivern in honor of his retirement after over 44 years of service to the city and the community. Receive?
Receive and adopt.
Receive and adopt.
Second.
Yes, Councilor Devine?
I just want people to know just a couple of things. As far as the Hall of Fame, shall I give those to Jeffrey, to you?
Yes, you can give them to Jeffrey.
And the Joe McGivern, we're unveiling his Joe McGivern Way by the Holyoke YMCA on October 1st. It's a Saturday at 3:30 in the afternoon
October
at the Holyoke
5th.
Y.
Do you mean the 5th? That's a Saturday. October 5th.
Okay, Saturday,
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. We can email it out to everyone.
Okay.
So receive and adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 56 and 57 as a package?
Yeah, so moved.
This is an order to designate the polling places for each precinct in the city for Tuesday, November 5th, which is a state election, and it lists out all of the wards and voting locations, which can all be found on the website.
Motion to receive and adopt?
Motion to receive and adopt. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, 58, filed by Councilor Ocasio, that DPW replace the back rubber speed hump on Berkshire and Main Street. Refer to
Receive, adopt,
DPW.
and send to
Refer to
DPW.
receive, adopt, send to DPW. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 59, filed by Councilor Ocasio, that Parks and Rec put up signs going up the street so kids don't get hurt playing. Do you have a specific street that you're looking for?
The same street, Berkshire.
Berkshire and Maine?
Yep.
Okay. Receive and
to the
send to DPW.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 60s, filed by Councilor Jordan and Bacon, that Holyoke accept the local option excise tax on retail marijuana for adult use of 3% as allowed by state law.
I was thinking finance unless Linda had
Finance.
other thoughts.
Oh, it's not, okay.
Wherever you want it.
Yeah, okay, finance.
Finance, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 61 is filed by Councilor Bacon. Order DPW please trim the tree branch that are obstructing traffic at Appermont and Route 202. It's a safety
The new
hazard.
Traffic light, yeah. I have requested informally, so I had to formalize it.
All right, so
Please
receive and
receive, adopt, and send to DPW.
receive, adopt, send to DPW. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 62, filed by Councilor Anderson Burgos, that DPW install a handicap sign for Hector Torres of 184 Sargent Street. Ordinance.
With a copy to disabilities.
Ordinance with a copy to disabilities. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 63 was filed by Councilors Devine and Ocasio, that the interim engineer look at the corner of South Summer and Cabot as to whether a traffic light or red flashing light should be placed on Cabot Street. Receive,
Send to the DPW and
engineer.
the interim engineer.
receive and send to DPW and the interim engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. 64 is a transfer filed by Councilor Devine for $58,500 from Planner 2 to Planner 1. Send to
Send to
Finance.
finance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 65 is Councilor Givner that City of Holyoke create an ordinance in the form of public trash bin sponsorships.
Ordinance?
Ordinance.
Send to ordinance with a copy to Board of Health and a copy to DPW. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 66 is filed by Councilor Givner in service of museum goers. Order that Wisteria Hearst Museum patron parking signs be added from handicap spaces on Beach to Cabot. Ordinance and DPW, Councilor?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 67, filed by Councilor Givner, as a service to property owners, that Holyoke create an ordinance for fully transparent timelines and dated building department policies and procedures. Sent to ordinance building department.
Ordinance.
Okay, with a copy to building department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then 68, filed by Counselor Givner, order to move handicap space from the corner of Beach and Cabot to abut the paved driveway of Wisteria-Hurst.
Ordinance,
Send to ordinance with a copy to DPW, Counselor?
disabilities.
And disabilities. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Got a few late files. 69 from Assistant Superintendent Fire Alarms, letter regarding repairs on South Street. Where would you like that? Receive?
What
Public
order?
safety, maybe?
Is the order in public safety?
Yeah. Actually, it was, yeah. So send to, receive and send to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 70 is filed by Councilor Israel Rivera. The HPD explore costs new funding avenues so the department can invest in body cams.
Public safety or?
I would say public safety first, just because there is no
Public
actual
safety?
dollar amount attached to it. Then after that, we can do that.
Okay, cool. So send to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We did 71. We did 72.
So that's it. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm so proud of all of you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Yes.